what led to this? Did you always want to found something and raise your own funds, or what was sort of the push to do that?
Oh God, never. No, I really didn't. I left Third Point. My business and my ideas were going more illiquid and more illiquid, and Third Point offered their investors 90-day liquidity. It just wasn't what I wanted to do, wasn't fitting. And we were finding ways to make it fit in some ways, but like it really just didn't nicely fit into what Third Point wanted to do. Third Point at the time didn't have separate funds, didn't want to have separate funds. And so I kind of honestly at one point thought I wanted to be a venture capitalist. So I left Third Point and moved to the Valley, and I didn't know what I was going to do.
What year was this?
2017.
Okay.
I had a long garden leave. I just kind of like thought I was going to figure it out later. And as I started to look at different venture capital firms and being a venture capitalist, no offense to you, but I realized that in my opinion, venture capital is a lot of guesswork and a lot of luck and a lot of throwing darts at a dartboard. And I
Way
often
less
joke,
math and finance. Yes. Yes.
but I often joke that there are things you can do to make your dartboard bigger and give you a better chance at success, but it's very hard to make your throw any more exact. I think there are things the best venture capitalists do that really do improve their chances of success, but I didn't see that as my future. So first, I actually looked at doing my credit fund inside a venture capital firm. And there were a handful that wanted to do it. The ones I liked weren't ready to SEC register, which you have to do for credit, you don't for venture. Venture capitalists can operate under this thing called the 1940 Act exemption. Credit funds cannot. And so some of the funds weren't ready to SEC register. At some points I just wasn't ready. Some wanted to do it within their firm, and I had fears that if I do this within a firm, the founders of the firm are going to be like, wait, you have to lend to this one. Wait, you're not going to lend to this one. You had to find a place that fit, and nothing just felt like the right fit. I looked at doing it with other credit managers where like I would be the small private credit, to venture-backed business group. It would help with their sourcing. But then in some of those larger organizations, there was bureaucracies. And while the founders wanted to do it, the next level down really didn't. And so it just didn't fit. And I realized that if I wanted to do this the way I wanted to do it with all the things I wanted, I was going to have to do it myself.
So I'm excited to jump into how you decided what fund size it was going to be and maybe talk through some strategy. But back in February of, last year now, I was in Miami, iConnections conference, and you and Peter Thiel are the headline conversation around private credit. And it was said that you are, and Takora Capital, Peter's, I think, second largest investment outside of Founders Fund. How on earth, how did piece all of this together for me?
I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And I had become friendly with Peter, and I was at his house for dinner over a very long period of time. And he was like, well, how much do you need to do Fund 1? And I said 250 to 300. And he's like, I could do that, and I'd love to seed you. And I'd love to be your first and biggest investor. And I just was at the dinner table, and I'd kind of been starting the circuit of looking for capital and trying to figure out who that first anchor / first partner was going to be. And Peter said, I want to be your first and biggest investor, and I want to do the whole first fund. And I was not pitching him. It was unbelievably humbling and an honor, and he's been truly incredible.
And did that, any special treatment? I don't know if you're comfortable sharing, or was he like, hey, I'm treating you like any other investment. It's yours. Like, you run it, and here's the capital.
Oh, it was you run it. Like the first month, I sent him the pipeline and was like, anything you want to go over? And he's like, I trust you to run this business. And I was like, oh, that's really cool. Obviously, he's one of the most prolific investors of my time. People know him as a very political guy or whatever, but I know him as the guy who put $500,000 into Facebook and turned it into $2 billion. And the guy who started PayPal, and the guy who started this great macro fund called Clarium, and the guy who started Palantir, and just one of the best investors. And so the idea that one of the world's best investors wanted to be my biggest investor was just kind of unbelievably cool.